Alright, mathletes, here we go. We're going to do parallel and perpendicular lines. So first thing we're going to talk about is parallel lines. So given lines are parallel, and both of them have a gradient of 3. So here in our example we see that we have a rise of 3 and a run of 1. So our rise over our run is 3 over 1, or 3. So notice that this line and lines are parallel if their slopes are equivalent. Okay, so this is a biconditional statement that two lines are parallel, then they have equal gradients, or you can go the other way and say if the two lines have equal gradients, then they are parallel. Okay, so what about perpendicular lines? So notice lines here, the red and the green are perpendicular lines. So if we look at the gradient of the red line, we're up 3 over 2. So that has a gradient of 3 over 2. Okay, the green line, here we have a run of 3 and we have a rise. It's actually dropping, so we have a run of negative 2. Okay, these lines are going to have are perpendicular, meaning they have a right angle created when they intersect each other. Okay, lines are going to be perpendicular if their slopes are negative reciprocals. So 3 over 2, if we make it negative, right, that's going to make it negative 3 over 2, and then we also must reciprocate. And reciprocate means to flip. Okay, so if we flip that, we get that's 2 over negative 3. Okay, so we know that lines are perpendicular if and only if their slopes are opposite and reciprocated. Okay, another way you can identify slopes that are perpendicular to each other, if you multiply them together, they should equal negative 1. So if we take 3 over 2 times 2 over negative 3, we end up getting 6 over negative 6, which simplifies to negative 1. So that also tells us that our slopes are perpendicular. So let's look at some examples here. So find the gradient of the lines that are perpendicular to the given gradients. So 2 over 7. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it the opposite, and I get negative 2 over 7, and then I'm going to reciprocate. So I get 7 over negative 2. Okay, so my final answer for a slope that is opposite reciprocal or perpendicular to 2/7 is 7 over negative 2. Okay, for B, okay, I'm going to remind myself that negative 5 is the same thing as negative 5 over 1. That will help when I'm trying to reciprocate it. So as I make this the opposite, okay, I'm going to get a positive 5 over 1. Okay, and now I'm going to reciprocate. And I get 1 over 5. So a slope of 1 over 5 is perpendicular to a slope of negative 5. Okay? So on our next point here, we're going to call 3 points collinear if they lay on the same straight line. Okay? So that means that we have to show that the gradient of A to B, so this gradient, is equal to the gradient of B to C right here. And if those are equal, and they both include point B in between, we know they are going to be collinear, lying on the same line. So let's look at an example here. So A, B, and C. So first thing I want to do is identify my slopes between A and B. So I'm going to do 9 minus -1 over 6 minus 1. So 9 minus 1 is going to change it to 9 plus 1, so I get 10 over 6 minus 1 is 5. Okay, now I want to find the gradient of BC. So gradient of BC is going to be 9 minus 3 over 6 minus 3. So 9 minus 3 is 6. 6 minus 3 is 3. So notice, if I reduce these, 10 over 5 is 2 over 1. 6 over 3 is also 2 over 1. So since these two are equal, and they both included the point B, which is here, I can say that A, B, and C are collinear. All right, that's going to include our notes for tonight. Make sure you highlight any questions you had and bring them to class tomorrow.